The long road west. You awaken at dawn though the sky is still dim and the air holds a chill. The sound that greets you is not birdsong, but the long groan of wagon wheels shifting, the low snort of oxen tugging against their yokes. The Oregon Trail does not begin with grandeur, but with the creak of wood, the shuffle of boots, and the smell of dust already stirring in the air. The canvas above you is pale, stretched tight, smelling faintly of mildew from dew. You brush your fingers across the wooden sideboard, its grain rough, still damp from night air. The ground beneath your boots crunches with frost as you step outside. The morning is not loud, yet every sound carries far in the cool stillness. The thud of an axe splitting kindling, the faint rattle of harness chains, a cough somewhere down the line of wagons. This is the beginning of the road west. It stretches not in leaps, but in miles upon miles of steady patience. You notice the rhythm. Person packs blankets still smelling of smoke. Another lifts barrels of flour, rolling them to their place. Someone else ties a rope to the wagon's side, knotting it slowly, testing its strength. Each motion is practiced, repeated, carried out with the certainty of routine. There is no rush, only steadiness. The oxen shift restlessly, hooves thudding against earth, their breath rises in pale clouds. When the yokes are lifted, the sound of wood against horn is hollow, followed by the creak of leather straps drawn tight. The oxen lean forward, muscles straining, the wagon lurching gently as weight shifts. The trail begins not with speed, but with the slow groaning sigh of wheels meeting earth. Inside versus outside, the wagon. Some choose to walk, others to ride. Inside the wagon, the space is cramped. Boxes of tools, barrels of food, sacks of beans and flour, all packed tightly. The smell of canvas hangs heavy, mixed with flour dust and the faint sweetness of dried apples. The floorboards shift under every bump, creaking like old bones. Walking is no easier. Dust rises quickly with each step. Dry soil lifting into the air. It settles on clothes, on hair, on skin. Boots rub against ankles already promising blisters. The sound of dozens of footsteps merges with the groan of wagons, the low moan of oxen, the faint jingle of harness chains. You move forward slowly, neither hurried nor still. The trail does not demand speed, it demands endurance. Step by step, starting the trail, leaving camp each morning follows its own procedure, measured and calm. Step 1. Bank the fire, scattering ashes so no sparks remain. The smell of smoke clings, faint but persistent. Step 2. Pack bedding, roll blankets tightly, push them against the wagon's side. The wool is scratchy, heavy with damp. Step 3. Load barrels and sacks, pressing them into place so nothing shifts. Hands press rough wood, ropes pulled. Step 4. Yoke the oxen, sliding wood across their necks, fastening straps with slow pulls. Their breath is warm against your hand. Step 5. Join the train, wheels groaning forward, one wagon after another finding its place. This is not a hurried ritual, it is deliberate, patient. Every morning repeats it, as steady as the rising sun. Myth versus reality in 1. It is tempting to imagine the Oregon Trail as filled with constant disaster, broken wheels every hour, dramatic attacks each day, yet diaries and records speak more often of dust, of slow miles, of weary feet. Wagons did break, but not every morning. Danger did come, but not every step. The myth of constant crisis fades into the reality of long monotony. Progress measured not in leaps, but in the quiet tally of miles crossed. Whistling Sam. Among your fellow travelers is Sam, known for a habit impossible to ignore. He whistles, not a tune, not a melody, just whistles, tuneless, wandering. He begins as soon as the oxen move, breath puffing white with sand. The whistle drifts up and down the line, soft yet persistent. Some find it steady, like the ticking of a clock. Others sigh, wishing for silence. Agnes, in particular, claims Sam's whistling attracts dust more than it should. Sam grins, whistles louder, and keeps walking. He becomes part of the soundscape, his whistle as reliable as the wagon wheels. She counts them, wraps them, tucks them away. She scolds loudly if she sees a child drop crumbs, declaring that a crumb saved today is a loaf tomorrow. Her biscuits are said to cure weariness, though they are hard as stone. She guards them fiercely as though they were gold. Travelers smile softly, letting her count, knowing it makes her feel prepared. Agnes and Sam form a strange pair of contrasts. One hoards silence in biscuits, the other spills sound in whistles. First, dilemmas. As the sun rises higher, small questions arise. Do you walk, letting the air cool your skin, though your feet ache? Or do you sit inside the wagon, pressed between barrels, rocked by every bump? Do you drink now, easing your throat from dust? Or wait, saving water for later miles? Do you share shade with a neighbor beneath a wagon, or keep it for yourself a little longer? These dilemmas are not heavy. They rest lightly, answered slowly, part of the rhythm of the road, the soundscape of the road. The trail speaks in its own voice. The wheels creak, wood against iron, oxen low, deep and steady, boots scuff, dust rising with each step. Children laugh faintly, chasing each other in short bursts before tiring. Someone coughs, the sound muffled by a cloth. Above it all, Sam whistles, filling silence with aimless sound. Agnes mutters about biscuits, counting softly to herself. The road is not quiet, yet not loud. It hums, steady as breath. Myth versus reality in 2. Popular tales imagine settlers rushing west at great speed, racing across plains. Yet records remind us, most wagon trains covered 10 to 15 miles in a day, sometimes less. Days stretched long, with progress measured in steady patience. The myth of hurried conquest fades into reality. Slow steps, groaning wheels, sun overhead, horizon unchanged for hours. Rules of the road. Every wagon train develops its own codes, unspoken yet followed. Rise with dawn, depart with sun, keep wagons in line, never scattered. The strongest animals go to the front, no wagon moves alone, safety is in company. Fires are banked before leaving, no sparks left. Scouts ride ahead, always return before dusk. Patience is as valuable as food. These rules carry no punishment, yet all obey them, for they steady the long road. A soft landing. By afternoon the sun burns through dust. Oxen move slowly, travelers quieter now, conserving breath. The horizon remains the same, broad and pale. Sam still whistles, Agnes still counts, the wagons still creak. The road stretches endlessly, but you walk it step by step, mile by mile, until evening draws near. The fire crackles softly, as the camp is set. The wheels groan, the oxen sigh, and you drift with the rhythm of the trail into uneasy rest. The wagon interior. You step closer to the wagon, the wooden frame towering gently above you, canvas stretched tight in its pale arc. The air smells faintly of damp cloth and earth. A wheel groans softly as someone leans against it, the iron rim still dark from morning frost. The wagon is not simply a vehicle, it is a house on wheels, a chest of belongings, a rickety refuge moving slowly across endless plains. The outside promises sturdiness, yet the inside reveals compromise. Every board, every barrel, every blanket, has been chosen, carried, and wedged in place with more hope than comfort. You lift the flap of canvas, step upward onto the tongue of wood that serves as a step, and lean into the space where days and nights will blend into weeks. First impressions. The smell hits you first, flour dust, faintly sour bacon grease, clinging to sacks, leather straps drying in the air, and the earthy scent of potatoes half buried in sawdust. Smoke from the last campfire still lingers, trapped faintly in the canvas above. The floorboards creak as you shift your weight, the sound hollow but steady. You reach your hand along the inside panel. The wood is smooth in some places, rough in others, a patchwork of planing and splintering. The canvas above lets in filtered light, pale and grey. Sunlight does not shine directly, it seeps through, making the space glow softly. The air feels warmer than outside, close, almost heavy. Your head nearly brushes the canvas as you move. Sitting feels natural here, standing doesn't. The wagon interior demands you bend, lower, and accept its narrowness. Packing the wagon, a step-by-step ritual. Every morning and every evening, the wagon must be packed again, arranged carefully so that nothing shifts when wheels jolt against stone or rut. Step 1. The barrel. Flour, beans, salted pork, heavy items must be pressed to the bottom, wedged against the frame. Your palms push against the cold iron hoops, wood staves smooth beneath fingers. Step 2. Sacks of grain and dried apples. They are placed along the sides, pressed to cushion the barrels, softening the bumps. The cloth is rough, faintly dusty. Step 3. The bedding. Blankets rolled tightly, smelling of smoke and wool. They are pushed toward the rear, where they can be pulled out quickly when camp is made. Step 4. Tools and iron. Axes, hammers, spare chains. Each is wrapped in cloth to keep them from clanging, though they still rattle faintly when the wagon lurches. Step 5. Small treasures. A family Bible wrapped in cloth, a child's wooden doll, a tin cup polished thin from years of use. These are tucked between sacks, hidden from dust, yet never forgotten. The wagon does not feel large, yet every inch becomes claimed, filled, secured. Myth versus reality in 1. Furniture on the trail. Paintings sometimes show wagons filled with rocking chairs, trunks, stacked high, even pianos balanced precariously. The myth imagines settlers carrying entire homes across the plains. Reality, however, speaks more plainly. Furniture was often abandoned within the first days. Heavy chairs and dressers lined the trail, left behind as wheels cracked and oxen strained. Records from diaries mention roads littered with discarded items, iron stoves, ornate bureaus, even bedsteads. What survived inside most wagons were sacks of food, barrels of water, and blankets. The wagon interior was not a parlor, it was a pantry on wheels. Agnes, the biscuit saver. Agnes sits cross-legged inside her wagon, shawl tight around her shoulders, fingers dusted with flour. She counts biscuits. One by one she taps them into a tin, muttering numbers under her breath. These will not be wasted, she says to no one in particular. She claims biscuits left too close to the edge invite dust more quickly. She scolds children who reach for them, claiming that every bite must be measured. The biscuits themselves are hard, barely softened by boiling, but she guards them as though they were delicacies. When someone jokes that her biscuits could mend a broken wheel if nailed properly, Agnes narrows her eyes, pulls the tin closer, and resumes her counting, whistling Sam's visit. Sam pauses by the wagon, leaning against the wooden wheel, whistling his tuneless string. The sound drifts into the canvas, echoing faintly. He pokes his head in, grins, and asks if biscuits are available. Agnes shoos him away, clutching her tin. Sam whistles louder as he leaves, a note of mischief stretched across the trail. Sam has no patience for cramped spaces. He prefers to walk to whistle in the open air, yet he visits often, claiming curiosity, though others suspect he simply enjoys provoking Agnes. Their quarrel is quiet entertainment during long afternoons. Riding, a mild dilemma. You stand inside the wagon, feeling the sway of the boards beneath your boots. Riding here promises relief from dust, yet the bumps are relentless, each stone sending a jolt through barrels and bones alike. Outside, walking means steady dust on your clothes, blisters forming on your feet, and the slow rhythm of step after step. Do you ride, bruised by jolts, or walk, wearied by dust? Neither choice is easy, neither disastrous. The dilemma hovers daily, answered anew each morning. The soundscape inside, the interior carries its own voice, the constant groan of wheels, vibrating through floorboards, the squeak of leather straps, tightening with each pull, the faint rattle of chains stored at the side, children whispering or sighing, shifting among blankets, the distant faint whistle of Sam, intruding even here. These sounds blend into monotony, a steady song of the wagon. You find your breath falling into rhythm with it, your mind drifting even as the wheels continue. Reality and privacy in the wagon. It is sometimes imagined that families lived comfortably inside wagons, with space for beds, tables and meals. In truth, the space allowed for little beyond storage. Sleeping inside often meant curling between barrels, legs bent awkwardly. Many preferred to sleep beneath wagons at night, where air was cooler and space freer. The myth of a wagon as a home fades into reality. It was a moving shed, useful but not comfortable, step by step repairing the interior. Even inside, wood splits, canvas tears, ropes fray. Repairs must be made patiently. Step 1. Press wax or grease into cracks along the boards, sealing against dust. Step 2. Stitch tears in the canvas, the needle pricking fingers as it slides. Step 3. Replace ropes, pulling fibers tight until palms burn. Step 4. Smooth sacks again, pressing them firmly into place. The work is quiet, steady, part of daily rhythm. The wagon groans less when treated kindly. Rules of the wagon interior, unwritten, yet understood by all. Heavy items low, light items high. Children sit toward the rear, nearest blankets. Firearms never loaded inside. Food tins sealed tightly, or dust claims them. Bible and papers kept dry at all cost. Tools wrapped in cloth to keep silence. Every item has its place, once lost, never found again. These rules give the cramped space order, preventing chaos from swallowing it. Quirky exaggeration. Sam jokes that Agnes's biscuit tin takes up more space than 3 barrels of beans. Agnes replies that beans cannot be counted, while biscuits can. She insists her biscuits will outlast the wagon itself. Sam whistles as if agreeing, though no one quite knows what tune he intends. Evening cadence. When night falls, the wagon interior changes. Lanterns glow faintly, their smell of oil mixing with flour and leather. Shadows stretch long across barrels. Children curl against blankets, their breathing soft. The wheels, finally still, creak one last time before silence. Agnes counts her biscuits once more. Sam whistles a fading note outside, softer now, almost like a lullaby. The wagon sighs with the day's weight,
its walls folding around the quiet. The canvas glows pale in moonlight, the fire outside crackles faintly, and you drift into rest, carried not by speed, but by the steady patience of the wagon interior. Food on the trail. The Oregon Trail is not remembered for its feasts, it is remembered for its dust, its weariness, and its endless beans. Yet food remains the steady rhythm of each day, marking mornings, middays, and evenings with fires lit, pots boiled, and meals portioned carefully. To travel is to eat simply, to chew slowly, to measure supplies against the miles yet to come. You awaken to the smell of smoke clinging to your blanket, faint bacon grease, lingering from last night's fire. The air is cool, your breath visible. From nearby wagons you hear the first clatter of tin pans, the low hiss of kindling catching. Someone coughs, someone stirs beans, someone mutters about coffee. The trail begins not with wheels, but with the promise of a meal however small. Morning coffee and cornmeal. The morning routine is steady. First, a fire is coaxed awake, embers stirred, smoke rising, then the pot is filled. Step 1. Scoop coffee grounds, dark and fragrant, into a pot of cold water. Step 2. Set it over the flames, let it boil until grounds swirl and sink. Step 3. Pour slowly into tin cups, straining little, drinking grounds as part of the bargain. The smell is sharp, bitter, almost medicinal. You sip slowly, the warmth spreading through chest and hand. Alongside coffee comes cornmeal mush. The process is slow but certain. Water is boiled, bubbling softly, cornmeal stirred in, thickening steadily. A pinch of salt perhaps, if ration allows. The mixture thickens into porridge, spooned into bowls, eaten without haste. The taste is plain, yet filling. Travelers do not expect delight, they expect fuel. Whistling Sam sips loudly, grounds sticking to his teeth. He whistles between sips, producing a sound like steam escaping a kettle. Agnes shakes her head, clutching her small sack of flour, muttering that cornmeal is wasted on whistlers. Myth versus reality. 1. Starvation on the trail. Popular tales describe settlers starving daily, living on crumbs and desperation. Diaries, however, show a softer truth. Supplies were often sufficient: flour, bacon, beans, cornmeal, coffee, dried fruit. The problem was not absence, but repetition. Hunger came late, when poor planning or accident drained stores, but boredom with food began quickly. The myth of daily famine fades into the reality of monotony. Meals edible, even filling, but dull. Midday rations. At midday, wagons halt briefly. Fires are small, meals smaller. Most eat cold bacon, hardtack or dried fruit. Hardtack is the most common. Biscuits of flour, water and salt baked until stone hard. You pick one from the tin, its surface pale, edges sharp, it smells faintly of dust, tastes like persistence. Biting it is Some soften it in coffee, others in soup, but Agnes insists hardtack is stronger when eaten plain. Sam calls it bread ambitious enough to fight back. He taps one against the wagon's side, producing a hollow clunk, then whistles as though the biscuit itself Step by step, boiling beans. Evening brings beans, the constant companion of the trail. The process is measured. Step 1. Soak beans in water through the day, letting them soften slowly. Step 2. Place them in a pot, cover with more water, add salt pork if available. Step 3. Set over fire, let them bubble for hours, stirring occasionally. Step 4. Eat with spoons, bowls warmed by steam. The smell is earthy, rich with salt, smoke weaving through it. The taste is heavy, filling, plain. Beans do not surprise, but they endure. A mild dilemma. You find a small rabbit caught in a snare. Its meat could flavor the beans tonight, making the meal rich and memorable. Or you could salt it, preserve it, and keep it for leaner days. Eat now or save for later. The choice rests quietly, not urgent but steady. A reminder that food on the trail is measured, as much in patience as in taste. Myth versus reality. 2. Fresh meat. It is imagined that hunters filled the wagons with buffalo, deer, elk, yet records suggest meat was often scarce. Game grew thin, where wagon trains passed in thousands. Fresh meat appeared, but less often than memory suggests. Salt pork, beans, flour, these endured. The myth of endless hunting fades into the reality of preserved rations. She wraps it twice in cloth, checks it daily, scolds anyone who dusts clothes near it. She claims flour must be treated gently or it loses its spirit. She bakes biscuits rarely, serving them hard and plain, yet counts them proudly afterward. Sam teases that one day she will weigh each crumb. Agnes replies she already does, lifting the sack in her arms, as though measuring by feel. Her biscuits, she says, will carry her farther than any oxen. Step by step frying salt pork. Salt pork is a staple, though its smell fills the air more strongly than its flavor fills the mouth. Step 1. Cut slices from the slab. Salt crystals shining on the surface. Step 2. Place in a pan. Let fat melt. The sound sharp and spitting. Step 3. Fry until edges curl. Meat stiff. Grease pooling. Step 4. Dip bread or hardtack in the grease. For flavor if not for fullness. The smell is sharp, heavy, clinging to clothes, hair, canvas. Even when eaten quickly, the scent remains for hours. Sam whistles between bites. Agnes complains that grease attracts dust. Both continue eating. Rules of trail eating. Every wagon train develops unspoken codes of food. Coffee is shared, though grounds are not judged. Hardtack may be softened but never wasted. Beans must be stirred, or they burn quickly. Salt pork grease is precious, dipped, not spilled. Dried apples are for children first, though adults sneak them. Flour belongs to Agnes, biscuits to no one else. Whistling at the fire is tolerated, but discouraged. These rules carry no punishment, yet all obey them in their own way. Evening cadence. As the day ends, smoke drifts low across camp. Fires crackle, pots bubble, mugs clink. The air smells of beans, pork and coffee, layered with dust. Children settle against blankets, bellies heavy though not delighted. Sam whistles softly, a thin note weaving with the fire's hiss. Agnes counts biscuits in her tin, tapping each one like a prayer. The wagons stand silent, oxen lowing softly in the dark. The beans thicken, the fire dims, and the night folds itself around you with steady work and chores. The Oregon Trail is not a holiday. It is not a march of constant adventure either. It is instead a long sequence of work. The road west is made less by heroic strides, and more by grease pressed into wooden axles, ropes knotted again, canvas patched where wind tore a seam. You discover quickly that travel is not only about walking miles, it is about keeping everything together for those miles. In the morning, as fires burn low and the wagons prepare to move, chores are already underway. Someone hauls water, their bucket thudding softly against the wagon wheel. Someone else mends a strap, pulling the leather taut, the smell of oiled hide, strong in the cold air. Children gather kindling, their hands cold, fingers stiff, the sticks snapping quietly as they pile them high. The sound of camp at dawn is not loud, yet it is constant. Hammers strike pegs, ropes creak, and the groan of wood signals that wagons are tested before they move again. You pull your blanket tighter, step into the lane between wagons, and join the rhythm of the day's first work. The wagon axle, grease and patience. If a wagon wheel is to last, the axle must be greased. This chore repeats almost daily, a ritual as steady as eating beans. Step 1. Lift the wheel slightly, the oxen shifting restlessly. As weight eases, the wood creaks, a sound like a sigh. Step 2. Scrape away dust and grit from the axle. The smell is sharp, dry earth mixed with wood. Step 3. Press grease into the joint. Tallow, lard or even bacon fat, soft beneath your fingertips. The texture is slick, sticky, clinging to skin. Step 4. Set the wheel again. Push until it fits. Hear the thud as it settles. The process is slow but sure. Each wagon each morning receives its measure of grease. Without it, wheels groan louder, cracks creep deeper, and the journey with it, the wagon hums softly, ready for another day. Whistling Sam and the axle. Sam, true to habit, whistles while greasing wheels. His tune wanders, tuneless as always. He smears grease unevenly, humming as though the sound itself might fill the crack. Others sigh, step forward and smooth his work, but Sam simply whistles louder, claiming his method is musical mending. Children laugh quietly as he wipes grease onto his trousers, leaving dark streaks. Agnes scolds from nearby, warning him not to come near her flour sack with those hands. Sam grins, whistles again, and promises not to mix grease with biscuits, though the idea seems to amuse him. Myth versus reality. 1. Wagons always breaking. Stories often imagine wagons splitting apart daily, wheels flying off, axles shattering with every bump. Reality was calmer. Breakdowns happened, but less often than tales suggest. Wagons were built strong, meant for the long road. Most work was not dramatic repairs, but quiet maintenance, grease, rope, patches. The myth of constant collapse fades into the reality of daily chore. Travel was not stopped by disaster each day, it was kept going by steady hands. Mending harnesses. Leather straps bind oxen and horses to wagons, but leather does not forgive dust and strain. Straps fray, Holes stretch. Mending them is another daily task. Step 1. Unbuckle the strap, the leather stiff in your hands. Step 2. Soften it with oil or grease, rubbing until the surface warms. The smell is strong, sharp, animal hide mixed with fat. Step 3. Stitch with heavy thread, the needle thick, fingers sore from pushing it through. Step 4. Buckle again, pulling tight, testing with a tug. The sound of leather creaking, the feel of oil on fingers, the faint shine of mended strap. These mark another chore completed. Agnes watches suspiciously, warning again not to let grease near flour. She mutters that dust finds grease as quickly as children find biscuits. Sam of course whistles through the stitching, producing a tune more ragged than the strap itself.
A mild dilemma. Your boot is wearing thin at the sole. You notice the soft give of leather beneath your foot, the damp earth seeping in. Do you patch it today, taking time and effort, or wait another week, risking blisters but saving energy? The choice is not urgent, but it lingers. To patch now is work, to delay is discomfort. Neither threatens the journey, yet both weigh quietly as you walk. Myth versus reality. And 2. Constant heroic labor. Some imagine pioneers working furiously, every hour, chopping wood endlessly, mending constantly, always at the edge of exhaustion. The reality was slower. Work was steady, yes, but measured. Fires banked, wheels greased, harnesses mended, but often with pauses between. Not heroic labor but domestic labor stretched onto a road of thousands of miles. The myth of ceaseless toil gives way to the reality of steady chores, canvas and rope. The wagon's canvas roof weathers sun, wind and dust. Tears appear suddenly, ropes fray under strain. Repairs are constant companions. Step 1. Thread a heavy needle with cord, the fiber rough against your fingers. Step 2. Patch the canvas, pressing fabric over the tear, the smell faintly of mildew. Step 3. Stitch slowly, pulling thread tight, hearing the faint rasp as it slides. Step 4. Replace rope, knotting carefully, tugging until the knot bites. The wagon creaks less when canvas holds. Dust seeps in more slowly. Rain stays outside. Agnes approves quietly, satisfied her flour remains dry. Sam whistles in approval, though his tune falters halfway. Rules of trail chores. Every camp develops its own quiet rules for work. Gate cafe grease axles daily, or wheels will remind you rudely. Stitch leather before holes widen. Canvas patched at once lasts twice as long. Firewood gathered before dusk burns more steadily. Water carried in pairs, never spilled. Flour guarded carefully, or Agnes scolds. Whistling aloud during chores, but only if others endure it. These rules are not written, yet all observe them, shaping the rhythm of each day. Cadence landing 1. By midday the sun burns hotter, dust thickens, and chores pause briefly. You sip water, taste dust more than coolness. Sam whistles softly in shade. Agnes counts biscuits again. Wagons creak, animals sigh, work waits for evening. The fire crackles faintly, the ropes tighten, and the day drifts on with weary patience. Evening tasks. When camp is set, work begins again. Fires built, oxen unyoked, wagons checked. Children gather brushwood, snapping sticks with quick hands. Pots are set, beans soaked, bacon fried. But alongside food, repairs continue. A wheel rim hammered back into place, a rope replaced with new cord, blankets shaken free of dust, though never completely. The camp hums with effort, not loud but steady. A story of abandoned stoves. Travelers often began with heavy goods, iron stoves, ornate trunks, bedsteads. Yet diaries tell how, within days, these were left behind. The work of carrying them proved too much. The trail was lined with discarded items, silent testimony to ambition, giving way to practicality. You imagine such a stove lying on the plain, its iron dark against dust, abandoned after too many chores to move it farther. A moral puzzle. A neighbor's wagon leans, one wheel cracked. They ask for help. You could mend your own harness tonight, or lend your hands to their repair. Your harness will wait, though your oxen may complain tomorrow. Their wheel, if ignored, may not turn at all. Do you help, or do you rest? The question lingers, not urgent but steady. A choice between two small burdens. Whistling Sam and the broken rope. One evening Sam attempts to mend a rope. He whistles while tying knots. Loops uneven, fibers fraying still. The rope snaps, oxen shuffle. Agnes gasps that flour will spill. Sam only whistles louder, declaring the rope is more spiritual than practical. Someone else steps in, ties the knot properly, and silence falls, except for Sam's whistle, drifting off again. Cadence landing 2. The fire burns low, repairs finished for now. Tools rest in cloth, ropes hold firm, canvas patched. Agnes tucks her flour away, satisfied. Sam whistles a final tune, softer this time, almost like a lullaby. The wheels groan one last time as wagons settle. The fire sighs, the night deepens, and you drift again into uneasy rest. Soundscape of the trail. The Oregon Trail has its own voice. It is not one voice, not even many distinct ones, but a low constant chorus of sounds blending together, mile after mile. You walk beside the wagon, dust rising around your boots, and you notice how the world is never silent here. Each step, each creak, each whistle drifts into a rhythm that is steady, patient, and unrelenting. In the early morning when the sun is still pale, the sounds begin gently. Someone coughs, someone else snaps a stick of kindling. Oxen shift, hooves pressing the earth with hollow thud. Chains rattle faintly. The canvas of the wagon stirs as wind pushes across it. The wagon train has not yet moved, yet already the air hums with preparation. The wheels groan first, as if reminding you they carried weight yesterday and will do so again today. The axles creak, the sound sharp, softened only when grease is pressed into the joints. Ropes stretch and tighten, a faint twang like strings tuned without music. The soundscape grows step by step, panasing. The oxen grunt as yokes are fitted, leather straps squeaking, wood thudding against horn, packing, barrels roll softly, sacks fall with dull thumps, tools clatter briefly before quiet return. Commands, voices call out, low and steady, haw, gee, step on, words simple, yet carrying power. Departure, wheels shift, the iron rims groaning, floorboards vibrating beneath the weight. The chorus, dozens of wagons, hundreds of footsteps, all joining into one steady hum. By the time the train moves, the sound is less a collection of noises and more a single presence, long, low, and endless. Myth, reality in one. Silence of the plains. It is easy to imagine the plains as silent, a vast emptiness broken only by bird calls, yet diaries remind us otherwise. The trail was crowded, sometimes hundreds of wagons moving together, the noise of animals, wheels, and voices carried for miles. Silence was rare. The myth of wilderness silence fades into the reality of constant sound, never deafening, but never absent. Whistling Sam. Into this soundscape drifts Sam's whistle. He begins early, before oxen even move. His notes wander, never forming a tune, drifting high, dipping low. He whistles through dust, through coffee, through every mile. Travelers sigh, some smile, a few mutter, yet Sam's whistle weaves itself into the trail, until it feels as permanent as the creak of wheels. Children imitate him, puffing weak notes through pursed lips. Agnes shakes her head, claiming his whistling stirs more dust than the oxen. Sam grins, whistles louder, and keeps walking. Agnes the biscuit saver. Agnes responds to noise with muttering. She mutters about children laughing too loudly near her wagon. She mutters about Sam's whistle. She mutters that flour listens poorly when the world is noisy. Her flour sack, she insists, prefers quiet. Others pay little heed. Her mutters, like Sam's whistles, become part of the trail's steady music. Two voices, one whistled, one muttered, layered over the endless groan of wheels. The dusty road's song. As the day warms, the road adds its own sound. Boots scuff, raising dust that hisses faintly as it falls. Wagon wheels strike stones, sending sharp cracks into the air. Hooves pound rhythmically, oxen groaning with each pull. You listen closely. Listen, groan of wagon, thud of hoof, a scuff of boot, whistle of Sam, mutter of Agnes. This is the trail's orchestra, rough but steady. A mild dilemma. At midday, the wagons halt. You rest beneath one, shade covering you, but noise continues. Animals shifting, children laughing, pans clattering. A neighbor invites you to move closer, share shade and sound together. Do you accept, joining warmth and chatter, or remain apart, keeping silent? The choice is light, lingering, never urgent. Myth versus reality in 2. Musicless trail. Some imagine the trail as wordless, with no music, no song, yet journals mention fiddles brought west, hymns sung around campfires, even flutes carved along the road. The myth of silence yields to the reality of sound, clumsy, uneven, but present. Music was not constant, but when it appeared it carried far across the plain. Step by step, tuning the wagon train. As wagons depart each morning, the trail seems to tune up, like an instrument finding its sound. Step 1, oxen grunt, deep voices low as yokes settle. Step 2, wheels roll, first groaning sharply, then finding rhythm. Step 3, boots crunch,
footsteps merging into steady cadence. Step 4, chains jingle softly, harness leather squeaking. Step 5, Sam whistles, Agnes mutters, and the chorus is complete. The sound grows, steadies and stretches westward, mile after mile. Rules of trail sound. Though unspoken, noise follows codes of its own. Whistling may persist, but not near sleeping wagons. Children laugh freely, but not during prayers. Oxen groan, and no one scolds them. Pots may clatter, but only near fire. Songs are shared, not hoarded. Flour demands silence, according to Agnes. Silence itself is respected when it arrives. These rules guide the trail's soundscape as much as grease guides wheels. Whistling drifts lower, muttering fades. Wheels still creak, but voice is quiet. Heat weighs down sound as much as bodies. You sip water, hear it slosh faintly in your tin. A brief relief amid dust. The wagon sighs, the oxen low, and the miles pass with quiet weight. Night sounds. When camp is made, sound changes, never vanishes. Fires crackle, pots bubble, spoons scrape bowls. Children laugh more freely, voices higher in the cool night air. Dogs bark faintly, guarding wagons. From the distance coyotes call high, sharp notes drifting across plains. Some pause to listen, then return to beans. The coyotes remain part of the background, wild voices woven into domestic ones. Sam whistles softly, mimicking their notes. Agnes scolds him, fearing he will invite coyotes closer. Sam whistles again, grinning in firelight. Myth vs. reality. And 3. Attacks in the night. Stories exaggerate constant fear of attacks at night. Diaries show more often it was coyotes, owls or restless cattle making noise. True dangers were rare, and most nights passed in the steady hum of ordinary sound. The myth of terror fades into reality. Small disturbances, mild interruptions, endless background noise. A moral puzzle. At night, you lie in your blanket. Nearby, voices still murmur. Someone sings a hymn softly. Sam whistles over it. Agnes mutters. You could ask for silence, risking frowns, or let the sounds lull you uneven as they are. The choice is gentle, not heavy. Cadence landing 2. The fire burns lower, voices fade. Oxen sigh, coyotes call faintly, then fall quiet. Sam's whistle stops at last. Agnes mutters one final word about biscuits. The camp rests, the trail sleeps, but the sound never vanishes entirely. The fire sighs, the wheels settle, and the night folds softly over the wagons. Faith, rituals and rest. On the Oregon Trail, faith travels as steadily as the wagon. It does not arrive with sudden visions or great miracles, but with the quiet rhythm of prayers spoken before meals, hymns sung in tired voices, and days set aside for rest. The trail is long, the road uncertain, and so devotion becomes another kind of work, measured, steady, folded into each mile. In the morning, you hear it before you see it. A voice rises soft and low, reading a verse aloud. Another voice answers with amen. Someone begins a hymn, their voice cracked but earnest. Whistling Sam joins, of course, though his tune bears little resemblance to the hymn. Agnes mutters that his whistle adds nothing holy, yet she still closes her eyes when the prayer ends. Faith on the trail is not lofty, it is ordinary, layered into meals and chores, pressed between beans and biscuits, folded in with grease and dust. Sunday rest. When the calendar allows, the train halts for Sabbath. Wagons do not move, animals graze, and fires burn longer. Step 1. Wagons circle not for protection, but for stillness. Wheels rest, axles silent for a day. Step 2. Fires are built higher than usual, the smell of bacon and beans stronger than on other days. Step 3. Benches or boxes are drawn together, forming a space where travelers gather. Step 4. Scripture is read, hymns sung, silence observed. Children fidget, kicking dust. Adults bow their heads. Sam whistles softly between verses until Agnes glares, at which point he pretends to sip coffee instead. The Sabbath is not grand, but it is steady, a pause in the endless rhythm of wheels. Myth vs. reality. And 1. Strict Sabbath. It is sometimes imagined that every wagon train stopped firmly on Sundays, all work abandoned. Records show otherwise. Some halted weekly, some only when animals grew weary, others not at all if rivers or mountains pressed ahead. Faith was important, yet practicality was often louder. The myth of universal Sabbath. fades into the reality of mixed practice. Some prayed while others mended wheels. Some sang hymns while others boiled beans. Agnes the biscuit saver. Agnes insists her flour must be blessed each Sunday. She sprinkles a few grains into the fire, claiming it pleases heaven and protects her biscuits from mold. Others smile softly, indulging her ritual. She lifts her tin proudly afterward, declaring that holiness tastes faintly of ash but keeps the belly steady. Sam teases that her biscuits could already pass as holy relics, being hard enough to last centuries. Agnes ignores him, humming a hymn louder than his whistle. Whistling Sam. Sam's whistle drifts through every ritual. He whistles through prayers, through sermons, through. Sometimes he matches the tune, more often he does not. He calls it background holiness. Agnes calls it nonsense. Yet when his whistle falls silent for a moment, others glance up, noticing its absence. Even in worship, the trail's soundscape feels incomplete without it. A mild dilemma. It is Sunday afternoon. The wagon rests, the fire crackles, and voices soften. You notice your shirt is torn, seam fraying. You could mend it now, needle in hand, or honor the rest day and leave it until tomorrow. Neither choice is grave, yet both linger, rest or work, pray or stitch. The question folds itself quietly into the stillness. Hymns at camp. At night, hymns rise around the fire. Voices are low, cracked by dust but steady. The words carry across wagons, blending with the crackle of wood. Children hum without knowing verse. Sam whistles louder, claiming it helps. Agnes insists the hymn loses meaning when whistled. Still the sound continues, not polished, not perfect but faithful. The hymn lingers even after voices fall silent, carried faintly on the night wind. Myth vs. reality. And 2. Constant piety. It is tempting to imagine every traveler kneeling constantly, every moment filled with solemnity, yet diaries show faith was woven into life, not separate from it. Devotion appeared in mealtime prayers, Sunday halts, hymns and quiet murmurs. It was not relentless fervor, but steady practice. The myth of ceaseless piety softens into reality, faith as habit, not spectacle. Step-by-step prayer before meals. Mealtime prayers on the trail are simple, repeated daily. Step 1. Food is portioned, bowls passed, steam rising faintly. Step 2. A voice speaks softly, words brief and steady, thanking for beans, bacon and bread. Step 3. Silence holds a moment, heads bowed, spoons waiting. Step 4. The word Amen closes it. Spoons lift, steam mingles with smoke. The prayer is short, but it steadies the meal. Even in monotony, gratitude is voiced. Rules of trail faith. Every wagon train shapes its own quiet codes. Pray before meals, even if words are brief. Sabbath may rest, or may mend, but both are accepted. Hymns need not be in tune, only since. Children may fidget, adults must not scold loudly. Flour may be blessed, if Agnes insists. Whistling is tolerated, but rarely praised. Silence is itself a kind of worship. These rules are unspoken, yet followed, shaping devotion into rhythm. Cadence landing 1. By midday, hymns soften, chores rest, and the camp hums quietly. Fires burn, beans simmer, biscuits harden. The sound is gentle, the air still. The fire sighs, the flour rests, and the Sabbath drifts on with slow patience. Small tales of belief. Travelers tell stories by firelight. One recalls a man who carried a psalm book, so worn its pages turned to powder, yet he read it each night. Another speaks of a woman who claimed her cow produced more milk after each hymn sung beside it. Agnes insists her flour rises higher on holy days. Sam whistles at this, as though to punctuate the tale. These stories are half memory, half belief, woven together with beans and biscuits. A moral puzzle. At evening a neighbor asks if you will join their hymn. You feel weariness pressing heavy, eyes closing, body longing for sleep. Do you stand, sing with them, or remain wrapped in your blanket, letting their voices drift past? Either choice is small, yet it feels like decision enough for the night. Cadence landing 2. The hymn fades, voices soften, fire dims. Sam whistles one final note. Agnes mutters one final prayer. The wagons rest, animals sigh, children breathe deeply in sleep. The trail is not silent, but it is calm. Faith hums like the wheels, steady, unbroken. The fire glows low, the hymn lingers faintly, and night folds gently across the camp, clothing against dust and chill. On the Oregon Trail, clothing becomes less about fashion, and more about survival. The road is long, the dust endless, the weather unpredictable. What you wear is not chosen to please the eye, but to shield skin, to endure wind, and to last mile after mile. By the second week of travel, every bonnet, every boot, every shawl bears the mark of the road, dust clinging, seams fraying, patches showing plainly. In the early morning, when the fire still smolders and the sun hovers low, you run your hands across your clothes. The fabric is stiff with dust, coarse from repeated wear. The smell of smoke clings to wool, the sharp tang of sweat woven into linen. You pull garments close, layer upon layer, and accept their weight. Clothing is not comfort here, it is armor against trail and chill. Step by step dressing for the trail. The process of dressing is slow, steady and familiar. Step 1. Begin with the linen sheet. It is thin, worn soft by many washings, cool against the skin even on cold mornings. Step 2. Pull on wool stockings or hose. The cloth is rough, the seams scratch against calves, but warmth spreads quickly. Step 3. Trousers for men, skirts for women, both heavy with dust before the day even begins. The cloth is thick, stitched with care, patched many times. Step 4. Boots or shoes, soles stiff, leather cracked, laces are retied daily, frayed edges hidden beneath knots. Step 5. The outer layer, a wool coat, a shawl or a cloak. The wool is scratchy, smelling faintly of lanolin, smoke, and earth. Step 6. The bonnet or hat, shielding from sun and dust alike. Brims sag, ribbons fray, yet they remain constant companion. Each garment is functional, each layer chosen for endurance. Beauty fades, but utility remains. Myth versus reality. 1. The glamorous pioneer. Paintings sometimes show settlers in neat dresses, crisp coats, clean hats. The myth imagines fashion parading across the plain. Diaries remind otherwise. Clothes grew dirty, stained, patched, sometimes never fully washed until months later. Elegance belonged to portraits. The trail demanded resilience. The myth of glamour fades into the reality of dust-stained cloth, uneven stitches and boots worn thin. Whistling Sam's socks. Sam, as always, whistles. This morning he pulls on socks that reveal more holes than wool. He whistles as if to cover their state, claiming holes make the breeze more refreshing. Agnes snorts, muttering that flour sacks last longer than his socks. Sam grins, whistles louder and ties twine around the socks as makeshift garters. Children laugh, pointing at his uneven pair. Sam bows, whistles a flourish, and marches onward as though socks were chosen deliberately for their artist. Agnes and the flour dust. Agnes claims flour dust preserves clothing. She sprinkles it faintly over her shawl, insisting it keeps moths away. Others shake their heads, but Agnes persists. Her shawl smells faintly of raw flour, mixing with smoke and wool. She pats it proudly, declaring it will outlast the trail. Sam teases that one day she will bake the shawl itself. Agnes mutters about reverence, strokes her shawl, and resumes counting her biscuits. Step by step washing clothes. Clothes cannot remain untouched forever. When rivers are near, washing becomes possible. Step 1. Carry garments to the water's edge. The weight heavy, the smell strong of sweat and smoke. Step 2. Beat the cloth against rocks, the sound echoing, water splashing cool against hands. Step 3. Rub with lye soap if available, the scent sharp, stinging skin. Step 4. Rinse in cold current, fabric heavy, fingers numb. Step 5. Spread garments across bushes or wagon tongues, letting sun and wind dry them stiff. The result is not soft or fragrant, but cleaner, lighter, less harsh on skin. A mild dilemma. You hold your only spare shirt, seams fraying, collar stained. Should you wash it now, risking hours of damp discomfort, or wait another week, wearing it as if? The choice is not pressing, but it lingers, a question of patience versus comfort. Myth versus reality. 2. Abundance of clothing. It is imagined that travelers carried trunks of clothes, changing daily. Reality shows otherwise. Space in wagons was precious. Most carried only a few garments, patched and worn repeatedly. Clothing was mended until fabric gave way, and only then replaced. The myth of abundance fades into reality. Scarcity accepted, endurance required. Step by step patching cloth. Patching is as common as walking. Step 1. Cut a piece from spare fabric, seldom matching in color or pattern. Step 2. Place it across the tier, pinning corners. Step 3. Stitch slowly, needle pulling thread with a faint rasp. Step 4. Knot tightly, press with thumb, and test the seam. The garment bears its scars proudly, each patch a record of distance traveled, a bills of trail clothing. Travelers soon learn the unspoken codes of dress: linen beneath, wool above, bonnets always, even in dust, socks doubled, if holes allow, boots patched until nothing remains to patch, shawls used by day, blankets by night, a plough dust not required, Agnes's rule only, whistling in socks tolerated, if only faintly. These rules give rhythm to dressing, order to endurance.
Cadence landing 1. By midday, dust rises high. Clothes grow heavy, sweat clings, fabric stiffens. Sam whistles despite holes in his socks. Agnes pats her flour-dusted shawl. You walk, layer by layer, until the day folds onward. The boots creak, the bonnet sags, and the trail hums with quiet patience. Stories of clothing on the trail. Travelers tell tales of garments abandoned, coats tossed aside in heat, only to be missed in chill. Diaries mention dresses torn by wagon wheels, boots worn to threads. Some speak of shoes traded with strangers, others of hats lost to wind. Clothing was not fashion but fortune held, patched or given away, as miles demanded. A moral puzzle. One evening a neighbor's child shivers, their coat thin, patches worn through. You have a cloak, heavy but spare. Do you lend it, risking your own comfort on cold nights, or keep it ensuring your warmth alone? The question rests softly, not urgent, but steady. Cadence landing 2. The fire burns low. Garments hang stiff by its warmth. Shadows stretch across canvas. Wool scratches skin. Smoke clings still. Sam whistles softly. Agnes counts biscuits in her shawl. The cloth rests. The fire glows and night folds gently across camp. Neighbors and social ties. On the Oregon Trail, neighbors are not chosen. They are given, arranged by wagons moving together, bound by distance as much as by necessity. Each family brings its own habits, its own voices, its own patience, or lack thereof. And yet, as days stretch and miles unfold, these neighbors shape the trail, as much as dust and wheels. You come to know their coughs, their steps, their way of speaking. You know who rises early, who lingers, who scolds, who sings. The road west is long, but never solitary. In the morning, you hear them before you see them. Someone sneezes, sharp against the air. A child calls out, chasing a dog. A pan clatters from a wagon tongue. These sounds drift together, weaving a chorus of company. You pull your shawl close, step from the wagon, and see the camp alive with neighbors, each folding into the day's rhythm. The myth of isolation. It is easy to imagine each family alone, a wagon creaking westward across empty plains. Paintings often show a single covered wagon against a vast horizon. Yet, diaries tell otherwise. Trains of 30, 40, even 100 wagons often moved together. Neighbors were constant, for better or worse. The myth of lonely travel fades into the reality of crowded companionship. Privacy rare, patience necessary, cooperation essential. Step by step, sharing work, community emerges most clearly in chores. Step 1. A wagon stalls, wheels stuck in mud. Neighbors gather, pushing shoulders against the rim, boots sinking, voices urging together. Step 2. Firewood is scarce. One family gathers, another lends, all sharing in the circle of flame. Step 3. Game is caught. Meat is portioned, some eaten, some salted, some passed to those with none. Step 4. Rivers rise. Wagons ford together, ropes held by many hands, laughter softening fear. The work is not written down, but repeated, steady, shared by all who travel. Whistling Sam. Sam whistles as he works, whether mending a rope, pushing a wagon, or carrying wood. His tune drifts into others' camps, sometimes welcomed, sometimes sighed at. A neighbor once asked him to hush, only for Sam to whistle softer, claiming he was quietly helpful. Children imitate him, whistling poorly, producing sounds like startled birds. Agnes scolds them, yet Sam only grins, proud of his influence. Sam's whistle becomes not only part of your wagon, but of every wagon nearby, a sound stitched into the whole train. Agnes the biscuit saver. Agnes counts her biscuits not only for herself, but for everyone else. She insists neighbors keep track of their flour as carefully as she does. She mutters about waste, about crumbs lost to dust, about biscuits handed out too free. And yet, when a child coughs or a neighbor goes hungry, she relents. She presses a hard biscuit into their hands, claiming it is a loan. She counts it again later, satisfied that charity and caution can sit side by side. A mild dilemma. At midday, A neighbor asks for coffee. You have little left. You could share, lightening the pot, or refuse politely, saving what remains. The decision carries no disaster either way, yet it lingers, community balanced against caution. Gossip drifts like smoke, soft but steady. One wagon claims another, hides sugar in a tin. Another whispers that Sam whistles even in sleep. Agnes corrects them, insisting he snores in tune, not whistles. Children repeat these tales, adding more each time until gossip becomes legend. The talk is not cruel, merely constant, a way to fill silence with company. Rules of wagon train community. Every group carries its own quiet codes. Aid given today will be repaid tomorrow. Fire shared is fire multiplied. Gossip flows, but anger must not linger. Children belong to all wagons, watched by every eye. Food may be loaned, though Agnes insists it must be counted. Whistling tolerated, muttering accepted. Privacy is scarce, patience required. These rules shape the train, binding strangers into something like family. Myth versus reality. Though, harmony on the trail. Stories sometimes imagine wagon trains as perfectly harmonious, all neighbors united without complaint. Diaries remind otherwise. Arguments rose, tempers flared, wagons split. Yet, just as often, laughter returned, chores resumed, and wagons circled again together. Harmony was not constant, it was chosen daily. Cadence landing one. By afternoon, neighbors walk in step, their voices low, their patience stretched but steady. Sam whistles, Agnes mutters, children laugh faintly, dogs bark. The road hums with company, the wheels creak, the flour counts, and the trail drifts onward with slow companionship. Neighbors unyoke their own, tied them together, and pulled both wagons until new animals could be found. Another story tells of a child lost briefly, the entire train halting until the child returned. Such tales remind you that neighbors, however noisy, carry you farther than solitude could. A moral puzzle. At evening you hold a strip of bacon. Your family could eat it, or you could offer it to a neighbor who gave you beans earlier. Either way, bellies will be filled, but one choice strengthens a bond. You pause, considering. The trail is long. Bonds may matter more than bacon. Camp at night. When fires burn low, neighbors still surround you. Voices murmur. Stories linger. Someone sings softly. Someone else snores. Sam whistles one final note. Agnes pats her tin of biscuits. You lie back, blanket rough, fire warm. Neighbors close. Privacy vanishes, but comfort remains. Cadence landing two. The fire sighs. The voices fade. The wagons rest. The camp is not silent, but it is steady. Neighbors breathe beside you. Patience stretched across the night. The flower rests. The whistle lingers, and the trail folds softly into sleep. Illness and remedies. On the Oregon Trail, illness arrives quietly. It is not always sudden, not always dramatic. It seeps into camp with a cough, with a pale face, with a bucket carried too often to the river. The road is long, the dust heavy, the water uncertain. Even the strongest feel its weight in time. You notice it in the mornings, when someone coughs before coffee is poured. You notice it at night, when footsteps falter, when voices weak. Illness is not an enemy that can be fought with wheels or oxen. It is endured, carried, soothed when possible, accepted when not. The common cough. Dust fills the air each day, fine as flour, settling into throats and lungs. A cough becomes the sound of the Step 1. A voice clears, sharp, then returns again. Step 2. Cloth is pressed to lips, muffling sound catching dust. Step 3. A sip of water soothes for a moment, then fades. Step 4. The cough returns, part of the daily rhythm. Agnes insists her biscuits soften throat. She presses one into a neighbor's hand, declaring it medicinal. Sam whistles in sympathy, claiming his tune clears airways better than any herb. Neither claim proves true, yet both persist. Myth versus reality in one. Cholera everywhere. Stories often describe cholera striking every camp, felling dozens at once. The truth is quieter. Cholera was feared, and outbreaks did occur, but many travelers walked the entire trail without encountering it. More common were coughs, fevers, stomach pains, and fatigue. The myth of constant plague fades into the reality of frequent but survivable illness. Brewing remedies. When illness comes, remedies are sought, whether effective or not. Step 1. Gather willow bark. Peel it slowly, the inner wood pale and moist. Step 2. Place it in boiling water, steam rising, scent faintly bitter. Step 3. Let it steep, turning water brown, tasting sharp, almost metallic. Step 4. Sip slowly, bitterness spreading across the tongue, warmth seeping into limbs. The tea does not cure, but it soothes. The act of brewing itself brings calm. A mild dilemma.
You have laudanum, precious drops left in a small vial. A neighbor's child lies fevered, restless. Your own family may need it later. Do you share it now, easing another's suffering, or save it uncertain of tomorrow? The vial is small, the question large, yet no answer feels certain. Whistling Sam's cure. Sam insists whistling drives fevers away. He stations himself beside the sick, producing notes that wander without melody. Some groan, asking him to stop. Others smile faintly, amused despite themselves. Agnes declares that whistling spreads dust into lungs, worsening matters. Sam whistles louder, claiming Agnes confuses dust with music. His cure heals nothing, yet the sound is part of care all the same. Myth versus reality in 2. No remedies at all. It is imagined that pioneers had no treatments, no comfort, only helpless waiting. Yet diaries record herbs, teas, poultices, doctors were rare, but resourcefulness was constant. Remedies might not cure, but they eased. The myth of helplessness fades into reality. Limited, yes, but not absent. Step by step, tending a fever. When fever grips, care follows steady routine. Step 1. Place a cloth in cool water. Wring it until droplets fall. Step 2. Press it to forehead, heat rising into fabric. Step 3. Change cloth often. Repeat until water cools again. Step 4. Murmur softly, voice steady, even if words bring no heal. The fever remains, but the body rests easier, under gentle care. Agnes and her beliefs. Agnes claims flour itself heals. She mixes a paste of flour and water, applying it to foreheads. It dries quickly, cracking into lines, falling in flakes. She insists it draws out heat. Others say it makes more mess than remedy. Yet, Agnes persists, guarding her flour not only as food, but as medicine. Sam whistles as he watches, joking that Agnes will one day bake a man back to health. She scolds him, yet her hands remain steady as she spreads her rules of trail health. Though unspoken, travelers keep certain codes in caring for the sick. Water given first, always. Cloth cooled, even if buckets must be filled often. Herbs shared if available, no matter how scarce. Children watched by many eyes, not only parents. Food softened for the weak. Beans, mashed. Biscuits soaked. Flour paste accepted politely, if only to please Agnes. Whistling tolerated, but only at distance. These rules bring structure to care, turning worry into habit. Cadence landing 1. By midday coughs soften, fevers rest, and remedies simmer by fires. Smoke drifts, herbs scent the air, and voices quiet. The trail hums, yet illness folds into its rhythm gently. The fire crackles, the tea steams, and the road drifts on with weary patience. Small stories of illness. A diary tells of a man who swore onion skins cured coughs, wrapping them in cloth and pressing them to his chest. Another recalls a woman whose fiddle soothed fevers more than any herb. Agnes adds her own tale, that biscuits hardened into stone drive away chills if placed beneath a pillow. Sam whistles agreement, though no one quite believes. These stories blend, half remedy, half ritual, filling evenings when fevers burn. A moral puzzle. At night, you are asked to sit with the sick, to watch through the hours. You could decline, keeping strength for tomorrow's miles, or you could remain, letting your presence guard them. The choice is soft, not forced, yet it lingers as the fire dims. Myth versus reality in 3. Death always close. Popular memory paints the trail as lined with graves. Death constant. Graves did exist, carved into the earth by wagons passing. Yet most walked on, most endured. Death was feared, illness common, but survival carried more families west than lost stock. The myth of constant mourning fades into the reality of quiet endurance. Cadence landing 2. The night deepens, fires glow low, the sick rest uneasily, cared for by neighbors. Sam whistles faintly, Agnes mutters prayers over flour. The camp is not silent, but it is steady. The water cools, the tea steams, and the night folds gently over the wagons. The longest nights on the plains. Night falls slowly on the Oregon Trail. It does not drop suddenly, but seeps across the plains, softening outlines, cooling air, drawing voices lower. The wagons circle, the fires glow, and the sounds of day fade into the longer, slower rhythms of the night. The trail does not end at sundown, it only changes its shape. You stand outside the wagon, the horizon fading into pale streaks of orange, then grey, then dark. The air smells of smoke, faintly bitter, mixed with bacon grease, lingering from the evening meal. A cool breeze brushes against your skin, raising goose flesh through wool. The ground beneath your boots feels softer now, earth cooling after the heat of death. In the distance, oxen sigh, hooves shifting in dust. The camp begins its ritual, step by step, making camp for the night. Evening work follows its own order, familiar and steady. Step 1. Wagons are drawn into a circle, wheels creaking as they turn, oxen groaning as they strain against yokes. The circle is not a fortress but a frame, holding camp together. Step 2. Fires are built within, smoke rising in slow spiral. The crackle is sharp at first, then steadies into a low hiss. The air fills with its smell, settling into clothes, into blankets. Step 3. Animals are watered, buckets sloshing softly, hooves stomping, tails swatting laser. Step 4. Bedding is laid out, blankets rough, straw thin, canvas stretched. The wagon floor groans as weight shifts upon it. Step 5. Food is portioned, beans thickened, bacon fried, biscuits counted, Agnes muttering as she taps her Step 6. Prayers are spoken, heads bowed, voices low, Sam whistling faintly even then. The camp is built as steadily as a house, night after night, piece by piece. Myth vs. reality in 1. Nightly attacks. Stories often describe nightly attacks, wagons besieged in darkness, arrows striking canvas. Diaries speak differently. Most nights passed without drama. The dangers were dust, coughs, restless cattle, coyotes calling in the distance. Fires burned low, voices faded, and the night stretched long. The myth of constant peril softens into the reality of steady boredom. Whistling Sam. Sam insists his whistling keeps coyotes away. Each evening he stations himself by the fire, lips pursed, producing notes that wander like smoke. Coyotes call back high and sharp as if answering him. Agnes scolds that his whistle invites them closer. Sam grins, continues anyway, and declares victory each morning when no coyote enters the circle. Children laugh, mimicking his whistle's paw. The sound drifts across camp, layering over fire, crackle, oxen sighs, and murmurs of prayer. Agnes the biscuit saver. Agnes holds her tin close at night. She tucks it beneath her shawl, pats it as though it were a child. She claims thieves prefer biscuits to bacon, that her tin must be guarded. She counts them softly, numbers whispered beneath her breath. When Sam whistles too near, she snaps that music unsettles biscuits. He whistles louder in reply. Her mutters and his whistles blend into the night like two quarrelsome owls. A mild dilemma. You sit by the fire. The wood burns low. You could add another log, brightening the flame, warming the circle. Or you could save it, letting darkness grow, knowing the road ahead still demands wood. Either choice carries no urgency, yet both linger. Comfort now, or caution later. The sound of the plains. Beyond the circle, the plains hum. Coyotes call, sharp, distant. The wind pushes grass in low whispers. An owl hoots, wings beating faintly above. The camp is never silent. Even in rest, the world speaks. Inside the circle, sounds answer. Spoons scraping bowls, mugs set down, children giggling drowsily. A hymn rises softly, then fades. Sam whistles through it. Agnes mutters about reverence. The soundscape is layered, steady, unhurried. Rules of night camp. As with morning chores, night brings its own codes. Fires banked before sleep, no sparks left to wander. Wagons closed, canvas tied, biscuits counted, water fetched last time, buckets filled, lids pressed tight. Oxen checked, ropes tested, knots tugged twice. Children placed beneath blankets first, nearest warmth. Whistling aloud until prayers, discouraged afterward. Mutters tolerated, provided they do not wake other. These rules shape the camp, turning noise into routine, fear into order. Cadence landing 1. By midnight, fires glow low. The circle breathes, oxen shifting, travelers sighing, children murmuring in sleep. Coyotes call faintly still, but farther now. Sam's whistle softens, Agnes's mutter fades. The fire crackles softly, the wagons rest, and the night drifts with heavy patience. Stories of the longest nights. Travelers recall nights stretched thin. One man wrote of lying awake, listening to cattle stamp, certain they would bolt. Another described a child's cough, echoing through canvas, every hour reminding him of frailty. Yet another remembered only boredom, staring at stars, counting them until eyes closed. The longest nights were not filled with terror, but with waiting for sleep, waiting for dawn, waiting for wheels to turn again. A moral puzzle. At 2 in the morning, you are nudged awake for watch. You could rise, tend the fire, pace the circle, listening to coyotes. Or you could pretend sleep, letting another rise instead. The decision weighs lightly but steadily, a question of patience, of duty, of comfort. Myth versus reality. 2. Bright camps. Paintings sometimes show camps glowing like villages, fires blazing high. In truth, most fires burned small, wood scarce. The light was faint, the circle dim, shadows long. The myth of brightness fades into the reality of half darkness, half silence. Cadence landing 2. The watch ends, fire flickers the camp sighs, the planes whisper, the sky turns pale with stars. Blankets scratch, biscuits rest, whistles stop, the fire dims, the wind cools, and the longest night folds softly into itself.